Fascinating. It's unbelievable. So, Rabotai, I'm going to tell you now maybe things that you never heard before, but it's important to know for your life, for your future. The difference between Judaism and all other religions, every one of their religion, one individual came and claimed that God gave him something. But no one ever witnessed it. For instance, Muhammad. He came and he said that Angel Gabriel gave him the Quran. How many people witnessed it, Mr. Muhammad? No one, I was alone. Go and prove now. It's right away start with 50% doubt. It's his word against your word. Nobody witnessed that. Mary, Maria, Miriam, same lady. She gets engaged and gets married to Joseph the carpenter. Two Jews, Joseph and Miriam. They got married 2,000 years ago. In the old days, this is the way it was. You make chuppah and kiddushin. You don't become intimate yet. You put the ring, you give the ketubah, and you go to work. Because everyone was learning in yeshiva, no one had money, so now they go and work for a few months. After a few months, they come with some money, and they build themselves a nice cabin from wood. There wasn't a Beverly Hills mansion for 130 million. So they build everything, they put some tar, they put some candles in the wall, and you have a house. But you move in. Joseph the carpenter comes back after a few months, he sees his wife gain weight, but not from sushi. What happened? Miriam, never touched you. You suspect me that I cheated? Yosef, what's wrong with you? So what happened? God came to me in a dream. He made me pregnant. Now remember, in the old days, if a married woman cheated on her husband and there was witnesses to this sin, it's a death penalty. He would lose it. If he turns her into the authorities, they'll execute her. It's not like today she get a TV show for being liberal. Today they'll give her a TV show. Oh, you're cheating on your husband? Wow, he's so wonderful. Come, let's give you a show. Maybe you teach the teenagers girl to follow you. Today it's a different world. But in the old days, do you know what a crime it was? A person would rather die than to cheat. Different world. So now he has one option, to turn her in or to play dumb. So he accepted. And JC is born. And then they say that he went to yeshiva. Okay. How many people witnessed that God came to Mary in a dream and made her pregnant? Nobody. You cannot witness a dream. She make up a story. On top of it, the Christians say that the Torah is the book of God, and in the Torah it says that you're not allowed to go with a married woman. You're not allowed to make a married woman that belongs to another man, make her pregnant. The kid is illegitimate, mamzer. Why would God go to a married woman? There's plenty of singles. If he wants to bring the Messiah through a woman, he cannot find a single woman. From all the women in the world, he has to find a married one. When he said that it's a death penalty, that's a good example for humanity to cheat. Stupid religion. Full of human errors. Watch my debate with a Christian professor, 3 hours. 17 bottles of water he drank in the debate. You have to see it. Millions saw it. He almost killed himself from the shame. Why? It's not his fault. The religion is stupid. The religion is worse than 5-year-old kids. You know, take a 5-year-old kid from yeshiva, pre-1A, tell him, make a fake religion. Write a book. He would do a better job. You cannot believe how many mistakes, human errors. But the Christians don't care about how authentic is the religion. They only care about the Christmas tree and the lights and Santa and the gifts and gathering together 2-3 times a year. That's it. What do I care? JC existed, huh? Christmas, not Christmas, who cares? We have something in life. Without it, we don't have anything. We want some spirituality. Okay. The Torah, unlike them, is a whole different story. The Torah started in a public event with 3.5 million people. You can never fake such an event. The only religion in the world that started in a public event, that 3.5 million people receiving the book of God from God, through Moshe in a public event. In the Torah, you have 100 miracles that are described that happened to them until now. Each one of the miracles is against all odds. Each one of them. Manna is falling from heaven, the Red Sea split, he went through the Egyptian drowns, all kinds of things. But the highest level is when Moshe came to 3.5 million people and give them the first Torah in a live event. And they open up the Torah, and what does it say there? All of you heard and saw me speaking to God in front of your eyes. Now I want to ask you a question. If I'm a faker and I wrote the Torah in my kitchen last night, why would I do such thing? Let's think. If a person pretends to be a prophet, he wants to be a leader, he wants to dominate the public, he wants to control, maybe he's a control freak, maybe he wants donations, money, maybe he thinks he's the smartest, so he should be the leader, maybe he's just crazy, maybe he just wants to be memorized as some kind of a hero. It could be many reasons why a person will fake a religion. But tell me, please, if I wrote the book last night in my kitchen and I came here to all of you tonight and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I am your new prophet. Here is the book that God gave me. All of you must follow the instructions. And if you have questions, I'm your address. I'm the king over here. I'm the prophet. You open up the book and you see right there that all of you heard me speaking to God. Can I come and sell you such a fairy tale story that all of you heard me speaking to God if it never happened? Why would I do such a stupid thing? Immediately you begin to throw tomatoes in my face. Get out of here, you crook. None of us heard God. How do you claim that we heard you and God speaking? None of us was in Egypt. None of us saw the Red Sea split. None of us see everyday manna falling from heaven. None of us has all these things that it's written. Where did you make up all these stories from? If one of the 100 miracles that is listed in the Torah did not really happen, immediately they'll make riots and kill him. Especially when he gave them the Torah, they just found out that thousands of them have to leave their wives and children. Why? Until the Torah was given, you're allowed to marry your aunt. Your father has a young sister, younger than you. You marry her, you have 10 kids. Mr. Moshe Rabbeinu comes from the mountain, gives you the Torah, you open it up. ערווה דודתך לא תגלה, פרשת אחרי מות. Do not touch your aunt. She's forbidden to you. Cannot have intimacy with her. What do you mean? She's my wife. I have 10 kids with her. We've been married for 20 years. Moshe, what did you do? What can I do? That's what God told me. I'm sorry. And you want to hear the best part? Who is Moshe's father? Amram. Who is his mother? Yocheved. Yocheved is the aunt of Amram. It goes against his own parents. Would Moshe write in a book that he faked, that he's stuttering? And he has speech problem? Will Moshe write in the book that he got punished and did not enter Israel and God got angry at him? Will Moshe write in the book that his 2 children were useless and they couldn't take his place and Yoshua had to take the place because his children were not capable? Will Moshe write all kinds of things against himself that will be memorized in history forever? Did you see one word against Muhammad in Islam? Try. Let's see where you're going to be tomorrow. Try to say one thing by hinting against Muhammad. That will be the end of you. Try to speak against JC in a church. That will be the end of you. The Torah is full of Lashon Hara, gossip, against King David, King Solomon, against King Chizkiyahu, against their children, against Moshe, against Yoshua, against everyone. Because the Torah is the only divine, authentic, objective, real, divine document in history. Over there, God doesn't write lies. What happened? It happened, and it's written. It's not politics, it's not shoving under the rug. So there's no way to come to millions of people and convince them that they witnessed me speaking to God unless it really happened. That's the reason why 3.5 million people became religious instantly. And all of them scream, כל אשר דיבר השם, נעשה ונשמע. Everything God say, we will do, and then we will understand. No question asked. In case you didn't know, until 220 years, there was no secular people in the world. Did you know that? Every country you would go, ask where the Jews live, you would come to the community, everybody was fully religious. All women were dressed modest, all men would have yarmulke or turbans or hats. Europe, Arab countries, Morocco, everybody was religious. Until 220 years ago, one Orthodox rabbi in Germany, Moses Mendelssohn, decided to go to university. Until then, no Jews would dare to step in university. They teach a lot of heresy there. It's against the Torah. Moses Mendelssohn said, I know Torah, I'm a rabbi. Let me hear what the Goyim wisdom has to say. He went to university. All his sons followed him. Within 10 years, they all married Christian German women and converted to Christianity. That was the end of his genealogy. And that was the beginning of the Haskalah movement. That Jews saw that the rabbi went to university and they all started to follow. Within 150 years after Moses Mendelssohn, 80% of the Jews in Germany were married to non-Jewish women, which all their children are not Jewish. It was such massive assimilation that God say, one more generation, and there's not going to be one Jew left in Europe. It will be the end of it. I never knew, I'm sure all of you heard about Kristallnacht, right? When I went to school, they told me that the Nazis, they burned 1,300 synagogues in one day. 1,300 synagogues, big, massive ones. Shocking, wow. I never knew that all those synagogues were all reformed. None of it was Orthodox. Until my friend Rabbi Ben Porat, is a world expert in the Holocaust. He knows every detail. Every book that was ever written about the Holocaust, he can tell you everything. An expert. He's in his 70s, brilliant, genius man, Rosh Yeshiva in Yerushalayim. We do seminars together. He told me he didn't know that all these synagogues were all worse than churches. I said, huh? What? Yeah, they were all reformed. They didn't have anyone, no one was there, Shomer Shabbat. Everyone was married to Goyim. There's nothing Jewish there. So how come nobody knows about it? How come? The communists want you to know that? I said to him, now what? He said, yeah, there was no Orthodox Jews left in Germany. Everyone was Mechalel Shabbat. They changed the Siddur to Berlin. They erased Jerusalem, they wrote Berlin. They all took the yarmulke off, they all got rid of their beard, they all went to university, they all married Goyim, they all ate not kosher. This was right before the Holocaust. The Holocaust is a sensitive matter. Why? Because people react with emotions. They can't think straight. When the heart kicks in, the brain freezes. Remember the rule, especially by women. Women, Hashem made them in such a way that they're all the time emotional. They're all the time sensitive. And who cries right away, a man or a woman? You tell a story in a lecture, all the ladies like this, and the man, falling asleep. Why? All the women cry. Why? That's the way they are. They're sensitive. So the Holocaust is a very sensitive matter. Why? Because if you try to explain the Holocaust to people in a rational way, since they think with their heart, they get angry. Let's try not to get emotional and try to stick to the fact. In the Torah, the Holocaust is described. Did you know that? Exactly what happened in Europe is described in Parashat Vayelech word by word. Allow me to read it to you. In Parashat Vayelech, Hashem said to Moshe, one day after you pass, this nation will be so ungrateful to me and break the covenant that we made in Mount Sinai to such an extent that they will follow fake religions and fake gods and ignore me and leave my religion completely. And at that time, I would leave them completely in the hand of a very cruel nation. A nation that have no mercy on women and children. I will close my eye, astir panai mehem, and I would leave them in the hand of these monster goyim. I will not be there to defend them. Why? Because they say there is no God among us. So that's what's going to be. No God among you, there will not be God among you. And it describes exactly that the Goyim will destroy us almost completely. It's few verses in Parashat Vayelech. Now you may come and say, Rabbi, who told you that God is really speaking about the Holocaust? Maybe speaking about the destruction of the first temple. Maybe speaking about the destruction of the second temple. Maybe he speaks about all kinds of pogroms that happened in Russia. How do you know that this half a page, how do you know that this half a page in Parashat Vayelech speaking about the Holocaust? Now I'm going to shock you, but before I'm going to shock you, let me first explain to you about something that exists in the Torah. It's called codes, mathematical schemes in the Torah, in the text. Let me explain to you something. If I want to send a spy to Iran, I sit in Israel, I'm his handler, and I send him now to Tehran.